I think we actually might have just seen the worst call in the entire history of sport. And like, this is a shock that it is actually not DiJonai Carrington committing a flagrant foul. DiJonai Carrington got flagrantly fouled.
Dane Carrington is quickly cementing herself as one of the most disliked figures in the entire WNBA. And after what went down in the Dallas Wings versus Golden State, Valkyrie's game a few nights ago, her reputation just took another nosedive for weeks. Carrington has been at the center of controversy, stirring up drama and alienating fans across the league. But this time, she finally got a brutal taste of her own medicine. And let's just say the timing couldn't have been more poetic. It's one of those rare moments where instant karma hits, and it's absolutely glorious. This might just be the most satisfying twist of the entire 2025 season. If you're a believer in karma doing its job, smash that like button and comment Fire Dane below. Let's get into it.
DiJonai, DiJonai, you're always in a dirty play. DiJonai, DiJonai, once again, here we are today. Oh, DiJonai, DiJonai.
The WNBA's officiating has been under scrutiny all season, with inconsistency becoming the norm rather than the exception. Yet, Carrington appeared to be immune, often escaping the blatant calls that players like Caitlin Clark seem to face on a weekly basis. However, during a recent matchup against Golden State, the script flipped. For the first time, the referee's notorious missteps were directed at Carrington, and suddenly, she found herself on the receiving end of the same questionable officiating she had previously evaded. It's remarkable how quickly fortunes can shift.
So the ball gets swung, Janelle Salon shoots the ball. It's coming out, it's coming out, it's coming out. So, DiJonai Carrington is just shielding the ball out of bounds. She's just shielding the ball out of bounds, as you do. And Tiffany Hayes tackles her to the ground. Tackles her to the ground.
With under 2 minutes left and Dallas trailing by 3, Janelle Saloon fired off a long-range shot that came up short, triggering a frantic scramble for the rebound. Carrington, reading the situation perfectly, opted to let the ball roll out of bounds, ensuring possession for her team, a veteran-level decision showcasing sharp court awareness. But what followed was absolute chaos. Tiffany Hayes, charging down the floor like an unstoppable force, collided into Carrington from behind at full speed. Both players hit the hardwood with serious impact. To any observer, it was a clear-cut foul on reckless out-of-control contact that should have been called immediately.
Does not look nor play like she's 35. Okay, she be bringing it to them girls each and every night. She got that, acting like that face harness, okay, like to protect her face, her eyes, her nose, whatever that is. She be look like a dominatrix to me. I'd be like, bro, who is that? She looks like it's giving Scarecrow, or like a Black Raven vibe, okay, like a hawk. Like she looks like a bird of prey. Okay, and that's how she plays. She plays like a bird of prey, while the other girls in the court are just worms to her. Okay, they are bird food because she be cooking and eating everybody.
And yet, in an almost unbelievable twist, the officials decided to call the foul on Carrington. That's right, the player who had literally stepped back and was standing still got tagged as the culprit in a collision she didn't initiate. The reaction was instant and unanimous, pure disbelief. Even Carrington's harshest critics were left dumbfounded, questioning what alternate reality the referees were operating in to make such a baffling call.
And was able to draw a foul. I'm like, what is this? I mean, she almost deleted freaking DiJonai. I thought, like, I was really gravely concerned for DiJonai Carrington's life and health. I'm like, did y'all not just see Tiffany Hayes just throw her body up against her and slam her to the ground? This is crazy. Literally slammed her. DiJonai Carrington got pushed into a freaking old white man's lap because of Tiffany Hayes jumping on her like she ain't got no sense.
This is where the narrative took a sharp turn, and karma seemed to make an entrance. Under normal circumstances, a botched call of this magnitude would spark outrage across the league, with fans rallying to defend the player who got wronged and demanding answers from officials. But this wasn't an ordinary player, this was DJ Carrington, and instead of sympathy, the reaction was an overwhelming wave of applause. Social media lit up with brutally honest takes, making it crystal clear. People felt she had this coming.
Tyler's going down for a fast break layup. DiJonai winds up and smacks her across the head, and Skylar is on the ground having a hard time getting up. But this was something where people are saying, okay, DiJonai, this is happening a little bit too much for my liking. These hard fouls, these reckless plays are happening a little bit too much. And I want to show you guys one more play that was also in that game that actually injured Gabby Williams. Now, if you watch here, Gabby Williams is going up for a little mid-range jumper. DiJonai jumps to try to block her, and she comes down to where Gabby Williams doesn't have enough landing space. So she lands in her landing space, and then Gabby Williams rolls her ankle.
The comment sections weren't offering any sympathy. They were in full celebration mode. Fans who had witnessed Carrington poke Caitlin Clark in the eye, pile up reckless fouls, and embrace her role as one of the league's top agitators saw this as long overdue payback. The posts said it all. Finally, karma's here. Now she gets a taste of what Caitlin's endured all season. It was one of those rare instances in sports where poetic justice didn't just arrive, slammed down with the force of a highly trilled dunk, squarely on Carrington's reputation.
That call on DiJonai when Tiffany literally flew over her, wild. And then if you saw Paige's face when it was like, I think like 55 seconds left on the clock or something like that, and the coach was like giving them the next play, bruh.
The backlash was so overwhelmingly lopsided that it became a headline in itself. Despite Carrington being on the wrong end of a blatantly bad call, there was zero sympathy. The audience had already passed judgment. That's the consequence of crafting an image built on cheap shots and unsportsmanlike behavior. When the tables turn, no one's in a hurry to defend you. Her reputation had come full circle, and now she was facing the consequences of the persona she had cultivated.
So once again, DiJonai Ratchet as Carrington is back at it again, being the dirty player that she is, man. So now we're pulling players to the floor by their hair. But what did we tweet earlier this week, everybody? Y'all fans swear I'm such a dirty player. I'm so over this narrative. But I just play hard as and I just make a play on the ball, and I'm tired of people calling me a dirty player.
Frankly, calling it one of the worst foul calls of the season might actually be an understatement. Carrington handled the play flawlessly. She backed off the scramble, stayed grounded, and avoided any contact. Meanwhile, Hayes came barreling, and like she was trying to level a concrete wall, crashing into Carrington with full force. Yet somehow, the whistle went against Carrington. The call was so ridiculous that even Valkyrie's supporters, the very fans who benefited from it, were visibly uncomfortable. Dallas fans were furious, and with good reason. The Wings were robbed of a crucial possession in a close contest, all because the officials decided to rewrite the laws of basketball physics. The Valkyries seized the moment and pulled away for a 10-point victory. But the real headline wasn't the final score, it was that jaw-dropping call.
It is Dallas ball. But do you know what another referee called? Do you know what another referee called? So one says it's Dallas ball. Another referee, as you can see right here, Salon miss, Valkyrie's rebound. Apparently Tiffany Hayes got the rebound, and DiJonai fouled Tiffany Hayes. Apparently Tiffany Hayes got the rebound and got fouled by jumping on DiJonai Carrington.
What made the entire moment so perfectly ironic is that it involved DJ Carrington, the very player who has seemingly dodged accountability all season long. This is the same Carrington who poked Caitlin Clark in the eye on live television and walked away without even a technical foul. The same player whose flagrant fouls mysteriously got downgraded, who ignited scuffles that forced officials to step in, yet somehow always managed to sidestep real consequences. But on this night, after months of dishing out the cheap shots, she finally had to take one herself, and it happened during one of the most critical sequences of the game.
As everyone else has seen this angle, I'm calling her in, and I'm saying to her, I need answers.
And the timing couldn't have been more perfect. This wasn't some random regular season matchup with nothing on the line. Dallas is hanging by a thread in the playoff race, desperate for every win. That blown call where Carrington got whistled for doing absolutely nothing became a turning point that swung the momentum and allowed Golden State to close out the game. It wasn't just karma, it was karma with real consequences. Her team paid the price for the reputation she built, and there was no escape. That's the definition of poetic justice. Carrington had spent the season playing like the rules didn't apply to her, throwing elbows, taunting opponents, and getting away with cheap shots. Every time the refs looked the other way, she walked a little taller, like she was untouchable. But on this night, the script flipped. The referees didn't just stop giving her a pass, they flipped the switch and called her out. And for once, the same broken officiating that's been hammering players like Caitlin Clark all season finally came back around to bite one of the league's most notorious instigators.
Is this? Look, pulling players to the floor by their hair is not making plays on the ball. This is not basketball. WNBA. When is she gonna get fined, suspended, or kicked out of the league for this reckless behavior? This is the 4th incident. The Lynx incident, taking out Ariel Atkins, taking out Skylar Diggins, and now the LA Sparks. When is it gonna stop, man? When is accountability gonna be taken for her being the dirty player and ratchet that she is?
Usually, when a player gets burned by a bad call, there's an unspoken expectation that the basketball world will rally around them. Fans light up social media, analysts break down the replays frame by frame, and the player becomes a case study for how poor officiating damages the integrity of the game. But when it happened to Jane Carrington, silence, actually worse than silence. The overwhelming reaction online was a collective shrug, with most people saying, well, that's what she gets. And that speaks volumes. It shows just how little goodwill Carrington has built across the league. When fans are more entertained by your misfortune than outraged by the injustice, you're no longer seen as a victim. You've crossed fully into villain status. It's also a wake-up call for the WNBA. When players with a reputation like Carrington's start getting this kind of reaction, it signals that fans aren't just losing trust in certain athletes. They're starting to question whether the league can enforce fairness at all.
And she ends up getting Shepard in the face, the nose. I don't know which takes precedent. Oh, see, it's the hit the ball and then it's the pull back. They're showing it on the Jumbotron at a different angle that sort of looked like, watch after Carrington goes for the block, watch her pull back right here. And that's the part that I don't know if you separate that. Do you separate that?
Here's the reality. Fans should be outraged when a bad call happens, no matter who's on the receiving end. If the WNBA wants to elevate its reputation, fairness has to be the priority across the board, even when the player getting burned isn't exactly popular, but the Jane Carrington situation proves we're not there yet. Instead of demanding better officiating, the audience was content to watch karma finally arrive. And that reveals a much deeper issue. Carrington didn't just take the hit for her own actions, she became the symbol for years of pent-up frustration. Fans weren't just reacting to her reckless, often dangerous style of play. They were reacting to the league's ongoing failure to enforce real accountability. Carrington's antics made her the perfect scapegoat for what many believe is a wider cultural problem in the WNBA, a system that lets certain players skirt consequences. So, when the referees finally botched a call against her, fans didn't protest, they celebrated. That's not a good sign for any sport. When people cheer for injustice just because they've given up expecting the system to be fair, it shows something is fundamentally broken.
Doesn't matter how many times DiJonai Carrington wants to get on her social media and want to claim that she's the victim and that she's not a dirty player. The league has rescinded fouls. Yeah, the league's rescinding flagrant fouls on you because it's run by a bunch of cowards. They're flagrant fouls. They're dirty plays. They're trashy plays. Someone's going to get very physically injured. At this point, DiJonai Carrington, forget about it. You won't beat these allegations.
From a pure basketball standpoint, this situation should be setting off alarm bells. When a playoff race can be altered by a call that egregious in a game that close, it shakes the very foundation of fan trust. How can people believe in the legitimacy of the league if games are being decided by officiating blunders instead of talent and execution? For a league like the WNBA that's striving for mainstream respect, this is a crisis you simply can't afford to ignore. The moment fans collectively shrugged off an awful call, just because they didn't like the player involved, wasn't just a petty online reaction. It was a warning. The WNBA's credibility is on thin ice, and moments like this show how fragile that trust has become. And that brings us to the bigger question. What's next for DJ Carrington? This wasn't just a PR hit. It's a turning point. Sure, people are getting their laughs now, but the long-term damage is real. Across the league, her name is being tied more to controversy than to her actual basketball skills, which is a shame because Carrington is a talented player. She didn't win Most Improved by accident. When she locks in, her defense is elite, and her offensive game has developed significantly. But none of that matters when the noise around her behavior is louder than her game, and when even your own fan base won't defend you after a blatantly unfair call. That's not a bad luck moment. That's a reputation problem. If Carrington wants to change the narrative, it's going to take a serious reality check, because right now, her image isn't just hurting her, it's damaging the perception of the league as a whole.
Like, that might be, like, that is the worst call I've ever seen in basketball. That is actually the worst call I've ever seen in basketball. She just jumped through her. Like, she knew. Like, it is what it is. People will shield or get in the way of the ball and stand there. She just jumped over the back. Worst case scenario, it's an over the back foul. Worst case scenario, it's an over the back. Like, it is at least a foul on Tiffany Hayes, if not a flagrant.
The league needs to pay close attention to this situation because there are serious lessons here that the WNBA simply cannot afford to overlook. First, let's talk about officiating. Mistakes are part of any sport, but when blown calls consistently, influence pivotal moments and worse. When it feels like certain players are either unfairly targeted or protected, it damages the league's credibility. A professional organization cannot sustain this level of inconsistency and expect to be taken seriously. Second, there's the issue of discipline. Carrington's reputation didn't materialize out of thin air. The league allowed her pattern of reckless play, from eye pokes to hard fouls and post-game theatrics, to go unchecked. If the WNBA had enforced clear standards and acted decisively from the start, maybe this controversy wouldn't have spiraled the way it has. Lastly, there's an emerging trust deficit. Fans are beginning to question whether victories are genuinely earned or influenced by bias. That's a branding crisis in the making. When people start finding more satisfaction in karma than in fair competition, you know the league is losing credibility with its
Not. Of course they're rescinding the fouls. That's what this league does. All right? Yeah, look, people can tell the difference between physical play and dirty play. And now there's a laundry list of evidence. Look, at this point, DiJonai Carrington should have been suspended, fined multiple times over. Of course they will. Now we're gonna hit you with a flagrant, and then behind the scenes we're cool. We're gonna rescind the flagrant.
Let's be honest, Caitlin Clark's presence is the unspoken backdrop of this entire saga. You can't dissect Carrington's downfall without revisiting the spark that ignited it all. The notorious eye poke from September 2024. That incident was one of the most unsportsmanlike moments of the season. What made it even worse was the league's deafening silence. No flagrant foul, no fine, no public comment, just a high-profile rookie taking a hit to the face in a heated match and left to handle it herself. And how did Clark respond? With composure. She didn't whine, didn't retaliate, and even defended Carrington's intentions, staying focused on her game. That's a big reason why Clark has earned her spot as the league's most beloved figure. Not just for her jaw-dropping performances and viral plays, but for her consistent professionalism when the league fails to have her back. Now contrast that with Carrington's reactions. While Clark met adversity with grace, Carrington answered criticism with deflection and aggression. One player won over fans through resilience. The other alienated them with her attitude. So, when Carrington was on the receiving end of an obviously bad call, the fan base didn't see it as an injustice. They saw it as poetic justice. It wasn't retribution for what happened to Clark, but it certainly felt like the universe balancing the scales. That phantom foul on Carrington, where she was penalized despite doing nothing wrong, mirrored the no call Clark endured months earlier. Call it karma or cosmic irony, but it struck a chord with fans who have been frustrated by the league's inconsistency. Meanwhile, Clark continues to thrive, leading the Indiana Fever with grit, leadership, and an elite basketball IQ. She's become the face of the WNBA because she elevates the game in every way. Carrington, on the other hand, has become a cautionary tale, tarnishing her own image while Clark builds a lasting legacy. The contrast couldn't be more striking. This moment should serve as a wake-up call for the WNBA. It's not just about one blown whistle. It's about a league at a crossroads, a fan base demanding accountability, and a player realizing that reckless play comes with consequences. Carrington's reputation finally caught up with her, and what happened felt like long overdue justice, not just for Clark, but for every fan who's been waiting for the league to take notice. If you believe in instant karma, sound off in the comments with Fire Carrington. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Click the next video on the screen. We'll see you there.